recording this like 10 minutes ago. 16 Tons by Merle Travis.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, folks. This is Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe coming at you live from Sunday episode.
Sunday.
It may not feel quite like a Sunday episode. I don't know why. I'm a little tired. What about you, Trevor? How you feeling, bro?
Well, I know you had to work today.
Yeah, I'm a little exhausted.
I did not have to work today. I will be back in the steel pits tomorrow, though.
The steel pits, the steel mines.
Yes.
We're just a couple of young miners with tiny hands that can get into small holes.
This is 1835.
Come on down, boys. You're 5. It's time to go to work.
Fuck Sesame Street.
You're young, strong men.
You don't need Sesame Street. We got these calcium mines that need, and we have these places that make clocks. Come here.
Don't worry, kids. We got this new fancy thing. It's called uranium.
Oh yeah, kids. Also arsenic. It's good for you. Breathe
Check it out.
deep.
Radon.
See that mercury? You should bathe your hands in it. Like we talked about last time.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. I'm pretty happy to be here. I'm glad it's a nice, chill Sunday episode. No guests. Sunday. We had planned to have Silver Squirrel on, but I guess he couldn't make it.
Honestly, our last 2 episodes are pretty wild, so this will be
yeah,
a
it can
one.
be a nice calm episode. We don't have to go through the fucking motions every time, man. We can chill.
We're gonna chill.
We got a couple cups of tea. Cheers to that. We're chilling out, man.
Very good, Governor.
Very good. Cup of sir.
Ooh, that's good. My day was pretty good. I had a dream about you, Jeff, and I having a pizza eating contest where we slammed pitchers of apple cider, and Patrick Swayze was playing bass and singing. His band was playing like 80s rock, and I was just getting wild and throwing cider. I was like, Patrick Swayze.
Have we ever actually looked into Patrick Swayze's band? Like, because I've heard of him through the bonfire a little bit.
He had a band.
I know.
He played.
But what, like, were they good? They were halfway good, because I know
they
Patrick
were like 80s sort of basic rock.
The singing, and he did a little bit of like jazz playing. He had the saxophone or something.
Yeah, it was very like 80s sort of jazz rock, kind of like even more mellow Huey Lewis and the News.
So
that could be an album review?
Yeah,
Swayze. That could be Swayze.
Did Swayze ever put like a decent song out? Like there had to have been one was radio play.
I think he did actually. We'll look into it, but I'm pretty sure he did because I've heard about.
Have to figure that one out.
You think he did on like sort of stuff now? You'd hear him like 80s and 90s and now he'd be like some random 80s pop.
I think he did a song for that movie Dirty Dancing, where he had his own
song. Of my love. Yeah,
something like that.
I think he was part of that.
But man, that was a weird movie too, dude. He's a 30-year-old. Again, reference the bonfire. Shout out Dan Soder and Big J. Okerson.
I have also seen Dirty Dancing, so I know.
It's a weird movie about a 30, or he's like 28 or 6, 20, something like that. This is late 20s, and he's hanging out around some 16-year-old girl. Like, there's so many red flags there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck if he dances good. Stay away from my kid, bro. I see what you're trying to do. You're not just dancing with her.
Oh, you're doing some other things. Dancing with myself, ho, 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 ho. Or dancing in the dark. Dancing. Yep. It's a bunch of 80s dancing songs.
Oof.
Footloose.
I had a knife sitting weird on my butt cheek all day. I didn't realize it until just now. My knife has to sit a certain way in my pants so that the little prong on it doesn't hit my butt.
Why don't you put it in your side? Like I put mine at work in my side pocket.
Because I have other things in my side pockets that I kind of use more often. And the knife just comes out when I have to cut a wire real quick. That's usually what it's used for. I sharpen it once a week. I take it in, I slice wires.
You got a wild tweaker that comes in.
I don't take knives out in fights. This was actually another subject on Legion of Skanks, I think. Like, I don't think I'd pull out a knife during a fight usually.
No.
Like, I'd try to fight somebody. I would have to be losing terribly.
Like, say you're fighting someone that's like a really good trained MMA fighter.
Or just a dude that's humongous,
And if you're fighting both, then you're kind of big dude that's really well trained. You're like, shit.
I'm just about to get my ass kicked. But most normal people, even in a regular fight, they usually beat you up, and then they'll take a walk away, and they'll say some shit, and they'll be like pussy or something,
and that's it.
And then most people break it up after a bit.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Some people go at it really hard, but usually there's like animosity behind that. There's fucking history.
There's feelings.
Exactly. A lot of it's like
sometimes though I've seen some random fights of two guys that were just drunk and they didn't know each other, just drunk in there. I mean, we see it. I've seen it right here.
Well, it's strange when you get into most brawls. I think people they'll get into it and they'll eventually break away to be like, hold on, I'm not trying to go to jail. But some people are just fucked up and drunk. You're totally right, and they'll be in a store, and then somebody says something weird, and
usually they're on other substances too, usually meth.
Yeah, all of a sudden, man, you're in a gridlock with some dude in a store. I've had that happen.
So I will talk about the rest of my day as part of the news.
Trevor had a good story earlier.
Yeah.
He went about the town.
So I'll mention that though. So for local news,
what's happening local in this Trevor minute? All
right, we got something random for you. We got Pet of the Week, according to Green Hill Humane Society, which is a place in the west end of town. Pet of the Week, we have Mr. Man, a 4-month-old male guinea pig.
Oh, Mr. Man.
And he has big brown and white fur, big brown eyes, American guinea pig. And he's great with kids and children, but he's small. He's only 1.5 pounds, so you gotta be gentle with him.
Yeah, they're guinea pigs. They're smaller.
Yeah.
Little picture.
Yeah, a little guinea pig.
Aw, he does look cute. He has a little white mohawk.
Yeah, and he's just hanging out in his blanket.
Yep, guinea pigs are pretty cute. The only problem is if you have a guinea pig and you have a cat, they better get along.
Otherwise, the cat's eating the guinea pig.
If
the guinea pig ate the cat, I would be very confused. Like, I need to stop smoking and drinking. I gotta stop smoking and drink it or something, or drink more. Then the other one I got the Oregon Coast Humane Society, which is another animal shelter but this one's actually, oh shit, this one's over in Florence. So yeah, the far west end of Lane County here. We got Oreo. He's a young dog, looks like a young.
And these are pets for adoption, basically.
Yes, that have been in animal shelters.
Yeah, so you're kind of giving a local ad.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a working dog here. His name's Oreo. Loves adventures on the beach. Makes sense, he's in Florence. And he looks like kind of breed would you say he is with the down?
So he's what he looks like is an American pit bull
mixed
a Rottweiler possibly.
Yeah.
He's a beefy dog, but he looks very cute.
This young
lovable.
beefcake. Yep.
Yeah, he's a beefy dog, but he looks young and lovable, and he looks like he'd be a great if you had a child, he'd be a good protector for a child. So
we have a pet, and folks, if you always want a pet, definitely animal shelter is always a good one.
Pets are cool, and check
animal
out your
shelters
local
are good.
shelters because there are a lot of cool pets up for adoption, and a lot of them need good homes and stuff like that. It sucks. We do have a lot of pets in this country, and we try to find homes for all of them, but there's always going to be a need, So,
yes.
Good topic, Trevor.
Yeah, and then my other one for local news is sports. So after my crazy dream, I went with my friend Jeff, and I took some magic mushrooms.
Yeah,
and as I walked over to the school here at University of Oregon and at the Matt Knight Arena, I saw the women's volleyball game between the University of Oregon Ducks and the Stanford trees. It looked like.
Okay.
Looked like redwood trees. Yeah, it looked like redwood trees. But I learned about the rules of college volleyball because I was trying to play volleyball in 15 years in high school, so I was like, what the fuck?
You know what was crazy? I'm sorry to stop you. When I was in high school, the women's volleyball was actually pretty good in our school.
By the beach, makes sense.
They didn't have a lot of people that went to their games. So a lot of the wrestlers and a lot of the football players a lot of the times at the end of the day when you were getting your last like speech or whatever, they'd be like, if you guys are free tonight, there's a game, there's a volleyball game. The girls are playing so and so. Would you like to, see it?
Yeah.
And most of the guys would be like, fuck no, But
I remember we did that too. We did that too. And the wrestling team.
Listen to this. You're all going or else you're in trouble. And don't think we won't know because coach is showing up, to the game. And so they'd have the wrestlers or they'd have the football team
go and
support the team. And I remember there would always be a couple of dudes that didn't show, and we would all run laps for how many people didn't fucking show. And it was such a dick move because most of them were just like, hey, I got a life too.
Yeah.
But like, volleyball games, you had to kind of be there to support them.
I liked it because I was on the shrooms and I saw a bunch of cute gals.
Volleyball teams have some good-looking girls.
And these are all girls in their 20s.
Beach volleyball, that's a sport.
Oh, yeah. I've... Humboldt and NorCal, there really weren't any beach volleyball. The beaches weren't exactly volleyball friendly.
Yeah, that's more like Venice and stuff.
Yeah, well, the beaches I was at was more like hacky sack and drum circles.
That sucks because it's like North Cal, so it's more rocks and
a lot more rocks and like redwoods and pine trees.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes sense.
But yeah, it's definitely more the hippie / redneck culture. Guys going around looking for clams, and I don't just mean the ladies. Don't just mean the ladies. But yeah, the U of O won, and this maybe, but it's college volleyball is 3 sets, and there's like 3 sections of the game, and the first team to get to 25 points each time a ball gets. Each time you get a point, it's just 1 point. There's no 3-pointers, it's 1-pointers.
Yeah.
And first team to get 25 wins that set, and the first team to win 3 out of 5 series wins the game. And the U of O won all 3 sets in a row.
So can I tell
you? So they spanked them.
That's awesome.
And the people got fuzzy.
Can I tell you a crazy series of videos I started getting into because it's pretty funny to watch? So the videos are basically college or professional volleyball players, and mostly women's teams, but they're basically really crazy shots that are made out of nowhere. So somebody will spike a ball and it'll hit and then it'll go some crazy direction, and somebody will run off into the stands or something almost and keep it in play.
That's crazy, but you can't because at that point there's a boundary line outside of the court.
Okay, so the other team has already pretty much celebrated thinking that they got the point. And while that's happening, somebody kept it in play.
They're just rallying like a motherfucker.
Exactly. And then behind them, this other girl sets up to fucking spike it. And while their like back is turning, they're all hugging and stuff. They just get the point, and the ref's like, point. Yeah. And they're all like, what?
That's what you get for partying, dum-dums.
Yeah, I love that because that happens pretty frequently where just a crazy shot goes off and somebody's like, nobody's going to come and get that back. And then they do, and then they're like, what? What happened? Yeah,
that's funny.
It's pretty hilarious to watch.
That's awesome.
So check out crazy volleyball shots.
No, shout out volleyball. It's a volleyball episode so far. We also got national news. Hurricane Fiona has fucked up Puerto Rico's crops. A lot of plantains like bananas, coffee beans.
Shout out Puerto Rico, man. I always do feel bad for them because
it's an
Jamaica,
island.
Puerto Rico,
Sitting
Cuba,
ducks.
They just get so torn up every year by hurricanes, and like
they don't have the best economies to just recover right away.
It's so difficult to rebuild if it's like expectant every year to fucking just suck.
Yeah.
I lived in Florida, and it's so close to all these islands.
Fiona is coming through Florida right now, and they're doing warnings of evac. So hopefully your family isn't affected.
Well, my family's always doing the same thing.
What do they do with the hurricanes?
So basically, what happens with a hurricane is you put down shelters. You put down and you shelter in place most of the time, unless it's a really bad hurricane. But you can withstand the winds in most houses. They're built to withstand certain amounts of wind. And as long as you shutter your windows and you kind of board up and you keep everything sealed, so the wind pressure is what really fucks a house up. Is if you have like leaks in your air from the walls and from the doorway and stuff like that, it'll cause a pressure in your house. And if there's tornadoes or a lot of things happen in hurricanes, lightning storms, tornadoes, floods. but you just have to basically board your house up. You got to treat it like it's a shelter, and you weather the storm. And once the power is coming back on, you go back to normal life. But it takes time for the power to come back on. We had one hurricane hit us, Wilma, and knocked our power out for 3 weeks. And it was just the area couldn't get turned back on for a while. The whole state was out of electricity.
Damn.
So it was like they were turning on sections at a time,
Hurricane
but it took
Wilma?
time.
Okay.
And hurricanes, you just have to be prepared for a long stay. So let's say, you're thinking, well, it could be up to a week. You prepare for 2 weeks just in case,
Similar out here with fires.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
You got to have an evacuation plan if it all fails,
Because shit does happen.
Yeah.
The Midwest
Natural
tornadoes.
disasters, bro.
Yeah, Midwest
natural
tornadoes.
disasters. But hurricanes are just so frequent and they're so impactful to islands. And that's really sucks because Florida can take a hit from hurricanes because the way it's set up, it usually passes over the state pretty quickly. But a lot of the times with the islands, there's just so much damage that can come from the sea.
That's probably you're completely surrounded.
Yeah, there's so much water.
Yeah.
It brings so much water from the ocean up. Like even certain coastlines get damaged during a hurricane in Florida, but not like every coast. It's like,
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Okay, so then in world news. Oh, here's the other one. Other caveat of national.
I got a thing.
So here's a random one. The Cherokee Nation is still pushing, and they might actually get it a non-voting delegate for Congress because Cherokee Nation has almost 500,000 members, active members, and there's certain territories, the large areas that are still considered part of the U.S. but not an actual state, like Puerto Rico, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, it's a territory.
America, Samoa, the Virgin Islands, Guam, the Cherokee Nation. Apparently, they were promised back in 1835 when they all got fucked over and kicked out by the Union and Andrew Jackson era, and they promised them like we'll kick you out and eventually we'll give you a delegate, and that still hasn't happened. So now
they're fighting for it.
There's this lady named Teehee. Her name Teehee, but she was, I guess, a former White House aide, and she's up for it. I hope they get it.
No,
why not?
I do too, man.
Yeah.
You know why? Because especially in this country, the Native Americans have been fucked over so many times. They need to get a few more things back.
I'm like, okay, they have casinos, but overall, they've been fucked.
So do African Americans. They've been fucked over a certain amount in this country, and I believe that somehow they should be
reparations or something.
Some sort of something, man. They deserve something for what's happened to their ancestors, especially if you can trace lineage back to certain slaves in America. Like that sucks, But it's also a part of your history in that, if there weren't certain people that were in slavery, like you wouldn't be there,
Yeah.
It's a crazy part of American history, man. All the underprivileged and all the poor and shit, they are this country. The poor people are the fucking backbone.
They are.
The working class. It's not these fucking people calling shots.
And then world news, I got
one more thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead and finish world news.
World news, I'm done with news. So, Russia's already in war, and the U.S. just had its another UN meeting, which is, the UN always meets in New York City.
Yep.
And they made more promises after the successful counterstrike of Ukraine to double down on the tactics they've been using and to keep giving them expertise and weapons. And Russia's made more threats like, well, we might use nukes on you, fuck you guys. So we're like, well, we'll figure it out from there.
I bet a lot of people are worried because Russia does hold the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons.
Yes.
And that's an issue for a lot of people because we have a dude right now that is pretty unstable and his back's against the wall. And
Putin,
so if this draft of 300,000 troops of every man from the age of, I think it's like 16 up to 65 or something.
In Russia?
Yeah, so he's drafting pretty much every
That's
man.
what Hitler did at the end of World War II because he was getting desperate as fuck.
So he's drafting all the men right now to come fight in the war that they don't really care to fight in mostly. And the people leaving Russia has gone up dramatically. Everybody's fleeing on the planes. Everybody's fleeing out the borders to Turkey and to Georgia.
That's crazy that Russia is having a massive evac. That's wild.
Because nobody wants to be a part of this war, but
Putin is ruining Russia right now.
We haven't really focused on attacking Russia as much. What they've focused on is beating back Russia out of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And, it's not about taking Russia. It's about keeping Russia out of Ukraine and establishing basically a Western dominance. So Putin is right in the fact that Western culture is coming to fuck his shit up because China and Russia are very old school in their beliefs. And whether they like it or not, unfortunately, democracy is coming because most of the world has embraced it.
They're coming all over your faces.
Yeah, and it's just sad because the dictatorships are ending, man. And the dictators don't want to go down without a fight, so they're willing to fuck up a lot of people to just say something. And Putin's a little unstable, but I think he's too much of a bitch. He puts on a front like he's a strong dude, but I think that he'll get thrown out of office before anything happens. Like, he'll turn around and his guards are snatching him.
And he's just gonna ride out bare chested on a horse, no saddle, just the classic Putin status.
Try that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's dumb fucking war. It's a dumb war, and he's gonna pay for it. And it's sad because the Russian and Ukrainian people are paying for it many times over with lives.
Plus the rest of the world too. The economy being fucked up. So many people.
The world isn't paying with blood. Russia and Ukraine are paying with blood right now, and a lot of other countries around the world. This isn't the only conflict that's going on.
No, it's just the biggest one in Europe right now.
It's just the biggest one that's getting the most publicity right now. People always want a war to focus on.
Unfortunately.
So I got a thing real quick.
Is it news?
To talk about. It's personal news, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, fucking. The last month or so at work, I've been really busting my ass to get my department in line. And we've been getting some new hires and some new people, and we've been training folks. And the last 2 days have been really great days for me because we've gotten pretty much everything I want to get done in order and organized at that location. So it's like, I don't know, man. Personally, it's very fulfilling to see a project come together like that. Like, I spent over a month working my ass off every day watching this come together, and it took a long time. But now that I'm here, and I took a couple deep breaths today while I was at work just to be like, enjoy this moment, man. It may not be here always, but, you did this. And I think there's a lot to say in that, and like personal accomplishment. Don't be afraid to take on projects, people. Even if things are hard and life's difficult, give it a shot, man. You never know what might happen.
There you go.
Yeah, fucking positivity,
and
bro.
you'll get a new job soon, hopefully.
Definitely. And I left this place in such a great position to continue to be successful. And that's what I think you should do in life, set people up so that they don't fail.
There you go. Yeah, I'm trying at my job. It's just just a small group, and who knows? It's
just a different kind of job. You're just going in and you're doing your thing, man, and that's fine too. But I don't know, just lately getting that like monkey off my back, pretty much. Now I feel really confident in my crew and the people around me.
What was the monkey on your back?
Was that I wasn't going to get anybody hired for a while, which it did take a while, but I got a lot of people at once, which is great. And that I was going to keep stressing myself to death and just probably go back to drinking. And that's what I was afraid of, but slowly but surely all the hard work started to show. And like this got cleaner and more organized, and this got cleaner and more organized, and like a lot of things fell into place. And now I look back at it and I'm just like, This wouldn't have happened without me, but it also wouldn't have happened without all the guys working and, cooperating. And, dude, it's been a hell of a month. It's been one hell of a month.
All right.
Shout out crew.
His personal news, I'm still here. Yeah. Moving on, we got done with the news section. We got topic we have is pro wrestling matches in inappropriate places, like the D&B library, 5-star restaurants, the recycling / dump area.
Okay, I feel like wrestling matches in certain venues are awesome, like at a fucking ICP show or a fucking Gathering of the Juggalos or something like that.
That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, impromptu wrestling is probably cool, but you imagine being at like the doctor's office. You're waiting to go see a doctor, and it's like, coming into the red corner, you know him, you love him, Dr. Payne. And it's like, what?
And then over here we have
it's Nurse Gotcha, and it's just some woman with giant tits coming out with a mask on. You're like, what's going on?
And then another comes in, we have General Gingivitis.
Yeah.
And then come over here and we have the toothpick, and it's a guy just in the
What's happening right now? They all start hitting each other with chairs. They're like, I gotta get out of here. I got a toothache.
Toothpicks is getting squirted everywhere.
Yeah. No, impromptu wrestling could be really interesting at certain venues, but I think it's wrong in like a children's cancer ward. Like it could be cool in a children's cancer ward, but maybe not.
Maybe not, especially if the kids start getting hit. Like it would be bad.
Well, I think that the kids would love it for a minute until something went wrong.
Until one of those little kids been
blood
crushed.
pouring down somebody's face.
A 300-pound man just like sits on 2 little 5-year-old girls with cancer.
You imagine the kids with cancer getting to see old school wrestling with just nails and glass and fucking hitting them with crowbars with barbed wire. They'd be like, what is this?
They get fucking sand thrown in their eyes.
This is wrestling.
Hey, fucking light bulb and vinegar match, bud.
Yeah. I'm Terry Funk, and I want to get you in a light bulbs and vinegar match.
All right.
Shout out Dan Soder.
All right, Dad. You got enough balls to fill a dump truck.
They have the funniest Terry Funk fucking talk, yeah. I love the Bonfire.
I actually going to listen to them tonight. I was actually planning on it.
Yeah, they're good to fall asleep to. I listen to them when I'm going to bed. I re-listen to old episodes because I feel like it's calming because I'm like, I know these jokes.
Another one for me is actually I really like Bill Burr, and I've listened.
Bill Burr's okay.
I've listened to his podcast, and he has some. He's a master at just telling calm, funny shit. Yeah. So it's funny to just listen.
I can't stand his voice as much. Like he has a certain voice to him, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Stop talking that way.
That's how he talks.
Yeah, but sometimes
he's from Boston.
Regular. But sometimes he talks regular.
Well, I think when he gets excited, that's when his Boston accent comes in.
Or he's trying to make a point or something.
Yeah,
but
he's an old guy.
I get it.
But yeah, shout out comedians.
Dan Soder's always doing voices.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He's good at them.
He is. So yeah, another last spot that might be a little inappropriate would be like a Holocaust memorial place.
Yeah, you're at Anne Frank's house. You're at Anne Frank's house with all this historical
goes through the wall.
And there's just some dude getting thrown through a room. A fucking a nuclear power plant, you know? There's just a bunch of scientists working and stuff, and all of a sudden this dude is just thrown off of a balcony. Yeah.
I'm gonna drop the bomb on you. People's elbow.
What's going on?
Or the International Space.
Stop this. He hits the scientist.
Or the International Space Station would be my last one. It'd be pretty crazy.
Love it.
Hey, I'm going to send you to outer space, bud.
Up with the next fucking America's Best Home Video. You know, it's just like a bunch of dudes doing wrestling at wrong places.
We hope. Hey, astronauts.
What the fuck is up, Denny's?
Astronauts, if you can hear us, part of the resistance. We want crazy wrestling matches in space.
It would be such an honor to have heard my podcast on a space station. Dude, like astronauts hearing our podcast.
That would be so cool.
They'd be like, yeah, dude, what's up? We got to get astronaut fans. We got to get some astronaut fans.
Shout out.
Start talking about space.
We should. Hey, shout out NASA, and if you guys want to play our stuff, I know you can do the internets out
Elon
in space.
Musk, Jeff Bezos, suck a dick. What's up, NASA?
Yeah, so astronauts, because they can get internet out in space. Like, you guys should check us out. YouTube.
Well, maybe. Yeah, they have to get internet.
But
out in
astronauts,
space.
you should check out Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe. Any podcast, seen the
They
episodes.
probably don't get internet out in space. They can't get all the channels. They can't get all the channels
I'd
out
imagine.
in space.
I mean, and
Can you imagine trying to get...
and the space station is literally on the edge of space.
I bet radio.
Radio goo goo. Radio go go. A radio voice. So, another one I have is the fungi documentary.
Oh yeah, Trevor watched the fungi documentary. He sent me the link. I seen it for a second, but Trevor, would you explain about it? I was really interested in it.
And I do like fungus, and I have studied fungus a little bit when I did study forestry, and we'll see where so. It is interesting. Something I thought was really interesting how just versatile fungus are, and they always get assumed to be like plants, but they also act like animals. They eat things, they move around, they do shit. And there's so much we still don't know about the fungus, and even though it's one of the oldest life forms
on the planet,
we still are just on the fucking tip of the iceberg.
Well, humans and science haven't been around long enough to really crack the code of fungus yet, because fungus acts in its natural way. So imagine a microorganism, right, that has genetically passed down information to its ancestors,
to its descendants,
exactly, through thousands upon thousands of spores. So the way fungus acts is more like an alien species on the planet. And it's so interesting that
the mushroom, for example.
Exactly, it's possible that aliens could have put mushrooms on the planet, or certain things to leave clues that
there
were here.
There are actual theories about spores that supposedly might have come on comets far away, frozen, and then when they crash and heat it up. I mean, those are theories.
Atmospheric spores that rain back down.
Yes.
Everything rains down eventually. It all gets into the atmosphere.
So it's cool as close to 1 billion years ago, we when everything was still in the sea, some of the first fungus eventually was able to go out into the atmosphere, and they actually
landborne.
They actually helped create the atmosphere that we breathe today. It was called the Great Oxidation. It was also the biggest extinction of species. 97% of all species at that time, a lot of single cells, but died because the atmosphere at the time was very toxic.
Exactly.
Carbon dioxide
It wasn't as good for supporting life.
No, and fungus were able to help absorb that and then release it as oxygen, and enough of that happened around the planet. It's called the Great Oxidation Event. And oxidation is also the process of like metal rusting.
Exactly, like
because
rust
it's exposed
to oxygen
and moisture, and they combine, and that happens.
No, and it's just the sad fact of life that everything that's born usually dies. But the way that fungus lives its life, it's always just trying to get to the next level.
And there's millions of species of fungus.
Exactly, and as human beings, I hope that we're trying to do the same thing, man. We got to get to the next level of evolution, and whatever that is, we got to stop de-evolutionizing, man. We got to stop rewarding people for doing wrong things.
Yeah.
And that's a problem in our society, is we built a really safe haven. We have all these issues, but in the grand scheme of things, we don't have that many problems.
Yeah, and we still
find things to bitch about when there's nothing really going on.
We also have the issues too where we try to like make an artificial environment, so a lot of basic rules of nature have been kind of cheated on. Thrown out the window. Like, hey, you have electricity, you have this way to communicate instantaneously.
You have heat in the winter.
You have grocery stores,
you
shit
have
like that.
Easy things that are communicable, so that you don't have to fend for your life.
We also are the only species that we support the elderly and the sick, whereas in nature they're just left out there to die.
They die off, and that might wean on our resources, but we as a society have said we will take care of the sick and we will take care of the poor.
Yeah, because we're humans. We're
exactly, and we do care, but I think it comes to a fine line, man, where you can care too much.
Yep.
You disable humans when you help them too much, unfortunately. And that's where it's a fine line between giving somebody a fish and teaching them how to fish. You know what I mean? Good subject.
But yeah, as far as the fungus goes, as it evolved, there was a point a little bit before the dinosaurs where they were supposedly 30-foot tall mushrooms that were just straight. I'm sure you heard about it. Yeah, and they literally just look like giant, like imagine trees that have been burned off and you just have the remaining like pole of the tree, and that's what it looked like, just these 30-foot giant poles.
Have you ever seen, they are pollen maps.
Yes.
So they're maps of pollen that are carried throughout the United States and throughout the world.
Yeah, I've heard about them.
Because
they're crazy.
pollen from a lot of species of a lot of plants gets airborne.
Yes.
And when it gets airborne and it gets into the air, it floats down valleys and through river streams, and it gets out to places that it normally wouldn't.
That's how you get invasive species.
Exactly, exactly. And there's been a lot of studies to show how spores from fungus have traveled up and down coastlines and up and down, certain places where mushrooms normally wouldn't grow, but mushrooms
Going coast
are
to
so
coast.
resilient.
Yep.
So resilient. I love mushrooms. They're great. What's the next subject, Trevor?
I could talk a little bit more on mushrooms, or I could move on.
Let's move on, man. We
Okay.
spent about 10 minutes.
Okay. Shout out mushrooms. You gave us penicillin.
What was the name of the documentary?
The name of the documentary is called. Pull it up real quick.
Fungis.
Oh,
Fungis.
actually, as a joke, here's a joke I have: is
Fungis.
fun guys. I like it. Why is it that the mushroom likes to party? Because he's a fun guy.
Oh yeah.
And the other one I have is a lot mushrooms and other fungi will have these like filaments or these like root systems that grow out.
Sure.
And they're called hyphae.
Oh yeah.
So what would be
part of the hyphae movement?
Yeah. So what's a fun guy's favorite type of wrap? Hyphae.
40 hyphae.
Hyphae.
Tell me when to grow.
Tell me when to grow. Tell me when to grow.
Good job.
Because
like
fungus, they turn rocks into
Trevor's getting a lot of fist
soil.
bumps over here. He's doing good.
I know. So yeah, shout out fungus.
Shout out
The
my
third
plants,
kingdom.
man. My plants are coming down this week. I'm excited about that. It's been a long journey to get them all the way there, but I'm really excited.
Fungus, the Third Kingdom, by the way, is the name of the documentary.
Nice.
Okay.
Do you mind if we talk a little bit about my plants for a minute?
Let's go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been growing here for the last 5 months or so, and it's been a hell of a journey. I'm learning every day how to grow a little bit better with my setup, and this is my first real harvest that I've actually tried to do as best as I could. I got 3 big plants. They're a little stout, but they all have really great bud on them. They're about 3 to 4 feet tall, which isn't bad for a height for cannabis. The yield from each one's probably going to be around a half a pound, something like that, maybe a little bit less. But the quality is going to be so high in all the weed that I think it's going to make up for the lower yields.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things. I've tried to grow a lot of different plants in my life, and these are the ones that I think I've cared the most about and put the most time and effort into. One of the plants is a purple Hindu Kush, which is one of my favorite strains, and it's one of my.
I've had that purple Hindu Kush. I've smoked it. It's good.
It's a strain that when I came out here, I fell in love with because of this one dispensary that had really great strains of it. They switched growers a couple times, and the bud changed a bit, but eventually I ended up with a small collection of seeds from them. And I was just so happy that when I came to find out what it was, that I had a purple Hindu plant, and that one has grown the best out of all of them. I have another plant that's probably going to outweigh it, but I think the bud quality on the purple Hindu Kush is going to be amazing, man. I'm so excited.
Oh,
A couple weeks away from smoking it and trimming it, and Trevor's going to be blown away, man. He's going to be talking all this shit about, Chris, whoa.
No, I know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk shit. I know it's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome, man. So that's my bit.
Fun guys.
Fun guys.
All right. Fun guys. We want to talk about next.
There you get the list.
Ooh. Here's another one. We could talk about. We could talk about Sherlock Holmes if you wanted.
We could talk about Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, the Vato.
The Vato Holmes.
Yeah, so I rewatched the 2009 Robert Downey Jr. and Justin Timberlake version of Sherlock Holmes. It was pretty good.
Justin Timberlake.
He was the guy who played Watson.
That's so weird.
He actually did a really good job, which is even stranger. Is he did such a good job.
Very crazy.
Yeah, he's like, damn, you're a really good actor. Way better. I like your acting way better than music.
Way to go, JT.
Yeah. But we were talking about what if Sherlock Holmes, you have like Holmes, like the term that Vatos use, like you have a bunch of just Chicano, sort of like gangster dudes hanging out in East LA doing the whole Holmes like, might have been the Hounds of the Baskerville Saints, Holmes. Hey, let's go get some tacos though. Fuck them fish and chips.
Isn't he doing the best out of all of them? Like out of Britney Spears and that Christina Aguilera chick? Justin Timberlake,
Spice Girls. You're talking that whole '90s pop thing.
Well, remember
the boy bands.
Well, they used to all be in
98
this
Degrees.
thing called. No, they used to be in this thing called the Mickey Mouse Club. It was all these fucking young stars and
before
shit.
they did the pop thing.
Yeah, so it was like
early
Britney
90s.
Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Justin Timberlake, and they were all in this club together, young stars basically.
This is early 90s, right?
Yeah, and then they all went their separate ways, got big. They met up. Christina Aguilera fucked around with Justin Timberlake, so did Britney Spears. And I think after it's all said and done, like Britney Spears is a little insane, and fucking Christina Aguilera is just some crazy lady that sings. You know, like nobody really gives a shit about her. So shout out Justin Timberlake, man. I think you're doing the best out of all of them.
Yep. Hey now, you're a rock star.
That's not him.
I know. I know. I was just kidding. I don't know. I don't really know any Justin Timberlake songs. Like,
I'm looking right at the other half of me. Things inside of my heart.
Oh, that fucking song. Wasn't he part of when like the boy band like Tell Me Why?
He was a part of NSYNC.
Yeah. Whatever.
NSYNC was pretty cool for their time. They just got fucked over. There was a cool documentary about how their manager basically stole all their money because they were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars to do shows. And he would basically say, oh yeah, it's going to road expenses, and it's going to hotel rooms, and it's going to expenses on the road. And
all these continental breakfasts, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
He was fucking ripping them off.
So many continental breakfasts.
He basically kept telling them, you guys are only getting paid, $2 or $4 grand a show. Sometimes 10 grand a show. When they were making $500,000 a show, and he was pocketing 300,000 of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the dude ripped him off for years. He did it to a couple of boy bands, and eventually was found out. But by the time they got him, he was all old, and they threw him in prison for a few years. He died, I think. I forget the name of the documentary, but it was pretty crazy to watch. This fat guy, he was all into blimps. He was like, he had like a hot air balloon business. Yeah, and he basically started NSYNC. He was like, I'll get you boys where you need to go.
What is he, the guy from Imagination Land from South Park?
Yeah, exactly.
You make him sing that, make all the boys sing the Nation song.
But crazy documentary. The dude just basically ripped them all off. That shit happened a lot in the 90s if you had poor management.
Yeah. I mean, it's
child star.
Or you have Selena, who just manager murdered her. That's pretty bad management.
Dude,
that's
Selena,
the worst. That's the worst of management.
Got it the worst because
she was murdered. Yeah.
Well, not even that she was murdered. Obviously, that's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
But she was murdered by somebody that was close to her that was stealing from her.
Yeah. And was her manager.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When she went to go confront her, she had a mental breakdown. Basically, it was just like "fuck you, bitch," and she killed her. And she didn't deserve that, Selena got the worst of it because she
first was murdered,
confronted somebody for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And maybe she shouldn't have went there by herself. She was at a motel room.
Yeah, she should have had someone. Should have had like her boyfriend,
people,
the guitarist,
more people.
join him. Yeah.
Yeah. But that shit happens, man. People go nuts and people pull out guns. Yeah, you gotta be careful.
They do.
What else we got? We're going down a list, yo. We got a whole list of stuff.
We got the Apostle John, who was the adopted brother of Jesus, being tired of being second fiddle to Jesus all the time.
Yeah, there was a brother of Jesus that didn't want to be second fiddle to Jesus anymore. Can we also talk about the racist Japanese?
We're getting to that, Chris. Do you want to do that right now? You're obviously excited.
Yeah,
okay, all right, little boy. All right.
Okay, all right.
I want to talk.
I want to talk about the racist Japanese commercial.
All right.
It's been 2 weeks.
All right. Floor is yours.
So there's this crazy commercial. I think it was in China. It's not Japanese, but it was of a woman that had a black guy in her house, and basically she shoves him into a fucking dryer or washing machine, and she washes him with some soap, and then he comes out as like this hot Asian guy, and then I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here, China?
Was it no, Japan?
It was
It was Japanese. Yeah, it was some. But yeah, it's like, oh, now you acceptable for parents. Like, damn.
Pretty racist. And there was another one where we saw a girl trying to eat a piece of pizza with chopsticks. And it was just so ridiculous because, like, okay, she was trying and she actually did it, but
it was a struggle. I think
they were just trying to make fun of her for doing it. We ain't about Asian hate, but it's, like, funny that these things exist out there. What the fuck is going on?
It's just another perspective. Commercials, another culture, different perspective.
People are nuts in commercials in other countries.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But all these are from years ago. These are all like 6-year-old things. But I thought that was hilarious. I saw that and I was like, what is this commercial?
That's pretty crazy.
All right, that was my bit.
Nothing else? That's all you got?
Racist Asians.
Definitely not the name of the title.
Racist Asians.
Nah. Everybody, y'all suck.
Everybody sucks.
Everybody.
Equally.
Yep. So the John the Apostle being he was the adopted brother of Jesus.
So Mary was a whore that had other kids. Mary was a whore that had other kids.
Mary was a whore that had other kids.
And his name was John Malkovich.
So he became one of the apostles, but he grew up being a carpenter like Jesus, the shitty carpenter. And their father, Joseph, would have the boys come in after a day of doing stuff, building a cart for somebody or for the Romans.
What did you do today? He's like, well, I saved these people from dying on the cross. And he's like, what? He's like, Jesus, you shouldn't be doing that, playing around those crosses all the time. And he's like, come on, Dad, what's the worst thing that can happen to me playing around all these crosses all the time? And he's like, Jesus, don't you know they put people up on those crosses?
Those Romans, man. That's what's going on right now.
He's like, Dad, I'm the son of God. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. And his brother John's like, shut up, Jesus. You're making us all look bad.
As he's pounded in steaks that he had to whittle all day with a draw knife and just fuck you, Jesus.
Jesus is sitting there drawing a picture of Muhammad, and he's like, Jesus, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. Yeah.
Covers it up real quick. He's like, everybody, have some wine. They're like, oh, Jesus.
Jesus, hey, Jesus, what did you do to this water? He's like, Jesus? Young Jesus. Yeah, that's
like a wacky
young
thing.
Jesus, he's like a wacky kid.
Yeah.
Just doing wacky shit. He's like, Jesus,
cartoon.
Did you convert the Romans? He's like, I didn't convert them. They converted themselves. Ah.
Hey, Jesus, later on you better be careful so you're not, hanging around too much.
Jesus, what is the deal with this burning bush? And he's like, I don't know. And he's
Moses
like, don't you play with me. And he's like, I just think it's God trying to communicate with you. And the bush goes, maybe he's right. Oh my God.
That's the strain I want to smoke right there with the bush there. He's like, hey man, it's
God,
like a deep bass black man.
We just came up with a religious-based comedy, Little Jesus. Where he's just doing all sorts of wacky adventures and he's fucking people up.
And the apostles, like John is with him, of course.
He's basically Dennis the Menace.
Yeah. Biblical time.
Biblical Dennis. Little Jesus, what are you doing?
And instead of like the Pharisees is like Mr. Wilson, like the Pharisee temple, he goes and knocks a bunch of shit over, like Market, get out of here. And he's like,
Jesus did have a brother, and his brother John was probably overshadowed a lot in his life.
And he became an apostle. Yeah.
And that was the whole beginning of the conversation, is that his brother was probably like, Jesus, you don't have to give every speech at Thanksgiving. You know, and he's like, come on, man, it's my deal.
That's what I do.
Know? And he's like, Jesus, how about I want to try? And he goes, okay, you try this time. And then before he goes, everybody, I've got a speech to make real quick. He's like, damn it, Jesus. He's always taking
It's an epic speech.
Yeah.
And he just makes like, well, we don't have a lot of food that year. He's like, got you. Snaps his fingers and fish and bread, just fills up everything. They're like, oh.
Jesus paid off a couple dudes in the back.
Oh,
Bunch of Hispanic guys. They're just filling the plates. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Raul and Chewy back there.
Bunch of tacos, man. Bunch of tacos.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Little Jesus doing all sorts of crazy shit.
Little Jesus cartoon show.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and it can be filmed in front of a live studio audience, so you get a bunch of weird
yeah.
laughter and claps.
The weirdest of claps.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 Men, but funnier. That's not setting the bar very high, though. 2.5 Men's like the worst show in the world. 2.5 Men versus Big Bang Theory as the worst shows of all time.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah.
Big Bang Theory is probably worse than 2.5 Men, but 2.5 Men's pretty terrible. That's one we have to do an episode on.
Oh god.
2.5 Men versus the Big Bang Theory.
I don't regular watch either, so
No, they're both so shitty shows. That's what I mean.
they're not as good as that 70s show. Or
Well, the 70s show had a time. You know, I think that's what it was. And it had a lot of good actors on it. But both of these shows are written as shitty comedies, and they got really popular for being just shitty comedies at the time. You know, they have one that's like a rapist dad moves in with a pussy dad to raise his son. And then the other one is... What was the other show?
the other one's about a bunch of nerds in college that are trying to figure out life, like girls and just sort of like very like adolescent theme, coming to age, sort of 1980s as sort of like kids becoming adults and that like weird hazy stage in between.
But there's a lot
like
of
like
shitty,
Sweet Six.
There's a lot of shitty like jokes in it about comedy or like not
Star
comedy,
Wars,
physics and Star Wars
and like Lord of the Rings,
science.
Yeah,
you know, hand me that sodium chloride.
Yeah,
you know? Nice. You mean the salt? And he's like, come on, I'm a science guy. So we should do that.
Or like a nucleus joke or something. We gotta
watch a couple episodes from a season. You pick a season of the shows, and we'll see which is a worse show.
I'm down.
Yeah, we'll have to do a review the next episode on shitty shows. I love that. Because I hated both of those, and I never really watched them.
Yeah, I didn't care for either.
I heard people always like, you watch The Big Bang Theory? Oh, that's a great show. And they'd talk about it, and I'd be like, that show sucks. You know, people talk about the Breaking Bad, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds cool. The dude from Malcolm in the Middle is making meth? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Bryan Cranston's crazy as fuck. But, like, when people talked about Game of Thrones, I could care nothing of Game of Thrones.
The only reason I cared is I did read the first book. The book was good.
So what kept turning me off even more of Game of Thrones was people went, what? You haven't seen Game of Thrones yet? Oh, what's wrong with you? This is so great.
They made such a big deal about it. I got you.
Dude, it pissed me off every time I heard it.
I was
just like, you fucking people are fucking sheep. You're all watching the same dumb shit that's written over 1,000 times. You know what this is? This is fucking Shakespeare. Modern day bullshit.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Even, all of it. Sons
of Anarchy had a whole Shakespeare theme to it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's like the story. It's like Hamlet. Can you pick up that cap that fell? Ooh, Chris, wanting your cap back. Yeah.
Whoa.
Thank you, Trevor.
Can't believe I heard that.
Can you hand me that cap back?
That'd be like if I was like, Chris, hand me a cigarette.
Hand me that cap before I cap your cap. Cap at a cap.
That would be like me if I was like, yeah, I'm going to smoke that cigarette real quick. Like, what?
You pick up a cigarette and start smoking it, I'm going to slap it out of your hands.
Do. Please do.
Because those are my cigarettes, and nobody smokes my cigarettes unless I give them to you. But
if I like found a random cigarette somewhere.
Well, it'd be weird. But I'd tell you, first off, I'd be like, it's bad for your health. Second off, it's bad for your wallet. It's a very expensive habit to keep up, especially nowadays. I just paid for a pack of cigarettes, $11.65, almost $12 for a pack of cigarettes.
Remember when they were just like $2-3 a pack? Just a few years ago.
Cigarettes were $6 a pack. That's when I was working in a gas station and cigarettes would be like $5-6, and people would complain that was expensive, and I'm like, yo, you don't even know, because in New York at the time, they were paying like $12 a pack, like what I'm paying now. In New York right now, a pack of cigarettes is like $24, like 23. So it's stupid. They're trying to price people out of smoking cigarettes, which is a way to cancel it out. But I'm telling you, people are going to find other ways to get their nicotine. Vaping is a big way.
Yes.
People love to
It's just like with drugs and alcohol. They're always going to... Prohibition, they still found ways around it. And then this whole war on drugs, they're still finding ways around it.
Even though they're having some health complications to vaping, I think, like, broadly, a lot more people are going to live a longer life because vaping's a lot less damaging to your lungs immediately, but people get nicotine overdoses and shit because the way they smoke them is like a candy stick, bro. It's all flavored shit, you know? That's why cigarettes are kind of bad for you, because they don't taste great, but you realize when you're smoking them that you're kind of choking, you know, and it makes you appreciate oxygen a little more. Anyway.
Good.
Yeah, man. I think this has been a great podcast. We've talked about a lot of cool stuff.
We got almost every single thing.
Else?
Yeah, we have...
Last minute subject?
We could talk about, real quick, the forgotten fourth little pig. Like the little pig that really fucked up and just makes it out of garbage. His house of garbage and shit.
There's always that one brother
Did too much meth.
that didn't quite make it to college. And there had to have been a fourth little pig, because pigs are usually born in litters of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I think there's a fourth little pig that was just a little slower than the other ones.
And they just didn't talk about him. Yeah, forgotten.
Because the 3 little pigs sounds cooler, but, you know, the fourth pig, you don't want to go to his house. There's a bunch of pipes everywhere and shit. He's got a girl all passed out on the couch.
Can you imagine that as a Disney movie?
Oh, God, the fourth pig.
The fourth pig.
He's a real pig. He's not like your story pig.
He's an actual pig.
He's a real pig. He's a cop. He's a crooked cop.
That's also a pig. A pig cop.
Takes bribes, but he's a good cop on the inside.
But he's still a pig, so he does hang out. He rolls around in the mud.
He doesn't play by anybody's rules, but he does pig stuff. You know, he roots around in garbages.
He chews on sliced apples. Like that.
He starts eating people's stuff when everybody's standing around.
He chases his own tail all the time. He will roll in mud. Like, all great things.
He's a hell of a tracker, though. His nose is no better. His nose knows better.
Yes.
We just came up with a pig cop comedy.
An actual pig that's literally the animal, the pig, that is a cop. That'd be funny.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he doesn't get sick or anything. It's the swine flu.
Anywho.
All right.
Trevor, grab that guitar. Guys, thanks again for being with us. I know our Sunday shows are sometimes our best shows, but I think we just took it easy this episode. We talked about some interesting stuff.
Oh shit.
What?
My album review. Let's do it real quick.
Okay, Trevor's got a quick album review. You got a couple minutes.
Okay, so this follows from YouTube, and it is the hip hop, funk, jazz, just good music album. It's a compilation album. I'll put the info on the
website.
When I put website, when I upload it. But it's just a mix of artists like Chromatic, Poldor, R Samples, and Pro Taylor. And I'll put the info on there. But
so Trevor got into a pretty dope compilation of hip hop and jazz, and he was listening to it earlier. It sounded pretty cool.
It's pretty relaxing.
Yeah. So he'll leave the info and the link below, and he'll definitely show you guys some cool music. I trust Trevor's musical prowess. I just think sometimes he likes to push the envelope a little too much.
Maybe. This time I take it easy.
Take it easy, baby.
Yeah.
We're on a beach somewhere. Some beach.
Just start playing death metal. But also we have episode 40 and 41. It's our 41's our magic episode, and 42 is our pirate episode.
Yeah, those are uploaded. Nice.
Check them out, and then please listen, like, subscribe, check it out.
Yeah, guys, thanks for listening and being here.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right, folks. We'll get at you next time, this next Thursday, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Later.